Hey, what's up? It's Chris from chrisbeatcancer.com, and today I am sitting on a survivor couch in, where are we? West Palm Beach, Florida. And check this out. I'm pretty sure on the cushions of the couch, it looks like someone just wrote Oreo over and over again in cursive. Can you see that? Anyway, so, I just got finished speaking this morning, and Jill Schneider came up and introduced herself and told me her story, and I was like, this is going on YouTube. So, Jill.
Yes.
Thank you for joining me on the Survivor Couch.
You are so welcome.
Tell the world your cancer story. It's awesome.
Okay, so almost 40 years ago, I went to the doctor for a regular annual checkup, and they found malignant cervical cancer, and then they had me do another test to make sure that was correct, and it was a number 5 on the pap test, which means that it was conclusively malignant. And from what I understand, they don't even have that number anymore. At 4, it's conclusively malignant. And it was very interesting information because I was 29 years old at the time, and I felt pretty good. Nothing was hurting, nothing was bothering me, nothing was, bleeding or anything like that. Nothing was strange. And I thought, well, that's pretty interesting. And the doctor was basically telling me that I was going to have to go into the hospital in the next few days, and that very possibly I would need a hysterectomy. And I was 29. I hadn't had any children yet. I was living in Miami, and I decided to just say to the doctor, and it was not easy. I said, this is very interesting. I'm going to think about this, and I'm definitely going to make some improvements in my lifestyle, in my diet. At that point in time, he got up, he slammed the door, left me in his office. Before he slammed the door, though, he said, okay, we're finished, done. And I just was like, okay. And I don't know, I didn't have a huge amount of fear. I was curious about what was going on. And at that time, I just happened to be studying with Dr. Ralph Allen Dale, who was not an acupuncturist at that time, but he had just recently come back from China. And he was teaching a class in Coral Gables in a bank building, and a few of us had signed on to a class which was 6 weeks long, maybe once or twice a week. It was probably just once a week. And we were putting acupuncture needles into oranges and learning about acupuncture and Chinese medicine and the theory of Chinese medicine. It was a very much introductory class, and I thought it was very interesting. So he was the first person that I told that I had the situation, and he basically said, call Michio Kushi. This is Macrobiotics. This was 1975. This was before, it was unheard of, actually, to consider lifestyle and nutrition instead of just going for an operation at that time.
Wait, so why did you? I mean, what in the world possessed you to not just say, okay, sign me up for chemo, radiation, surgery? I mean, why did you make that decision back then when it was extremely uncommon?
Very uncommon. But I had a passion for life already. 2 years before, I had been traveling in India for 3 months, doing some teaching there, and also spending a lot of time with people in Nepal and then in India, and then meeting up with a teacher who taught me how to do meditation. And I already had been very interested in what was called, in the 60s, it was called the Human Potential Movement.
Yeah.
Okay?
And had you seen or experienced, you had, I guess, maybe a little bit of insight into natural healing and nutrition, so you had a little bit of a foundation
I was
going
already
into
a vegetarian, actually.
You were already into it?
Yeah,
okay.
I was a vegetarian, but not a great vegetarian. I probably had a lot of white flour and white sugar going on. But I also knew and had confidence in the power that is contained within inside of me. I knew that this power would guide me to a less invasive way of clearing this up. And the big C ultimately did not scare me.
That's good, because most people are terrified.
Then
and they
I
make
had
a fear-based decision, right? They make
Not-
an
yeah,
irrational decision
absolutely.
because they're so afraid. They don't realize they have time to think about it. They have time to evaluate their life. They're just so scared that they just jump into whatever the doctor says, just get it out of me as fast as you can, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, almost like you feel dirty being
Yeah,
sick.
yeah.
I didn't feel that dirtiness. I actually felt holy and divine.
So but you didn't even tell your mother, did you?
No, no. I decided that this decision was going to be completely my own, and the best thing to do was really not to tell my family.
Why?
And,
Why did you make that decision
well,
not to tell them?
because I think they would have freaked out
Yeah,
and gotten me freaked out,
yeah.
and it would have been more difficult for me, to make my plan, to do a natural, non-invasive way of boosting my body, boosting my immune system, so that I would therefore allow my body the opportunity to heal itself.
Yeah. And well-meaning people in your life can actually be a major, major hindrance, because there are people, and I had the same problem, people that love you and care about you, but they also think you have to do conventional therapies or you're going to die, and that the body can't heal on its own, that nutrition doesn't matter. And so there's some wisdom there. There's some wisdom, and not for every patient, but it's something to consider. Should you tell everybody in the world that you have cancer, or should you keep it to yourself, And there's no right or wrong way to do
Right.
it, but it's something to consider, because if you'll have support, then by all means you need that support. But if you have maybe the instinctive or intuition, or you just know your family, they're going to think you're crazy and they're going to fight you, maybe you don't need to tell them.
Well, they always thought I was a bit crazy because I wanted to explore the planet, and I had done a lot of traveling, and I was also a musician, and I backpacked around, the planet, and I used to send them postcards every couple of days, and that was a long time ago, and so I kept in touch, but I didn't live a typical life, and didn't want to.
Me neither. Okay, so tell me what you did. You said you did the macrobiotic diet.
I did macrobiotics, and then Dr. Dale suggested that I find an acupuncturist, and he referred me to this older gentleman who had literally just come from China. His name was Felix Marquand, and he looked at me, and he just said, "No problem, I fix."
And he had a long gray
Long,
beard, right?
gray,
Yeah.
thinning beard.
Yeah, the really thin old Chinese beard.
And
Yes.
bushy eyebrows.
I love that guy already.
And at the time, he had just come to this country. This was 1975, and he needed someone to clean the office a little bit. And so in exchange for 2 treatments a week for 1 month, that's what I did. I also told all my friends about him and sent him some business.
You clean office, I fix cancer.
Yes!
Right?
Just like that.
Awesome.
I mean, and I felt so comfortable with him. In fact, one day, his office was on top of a storefront. And one day, actually, I think I got there a little early, and he was still in his pajamas because he used to sleep in the back room. And then after the treatment, he would take me into the kitchen, and he would just basically, give me some of the soup that he was eating, and a sweet potato, and these little black balls. And I just popped them. I mean, I had total trust.
Mm-hmm. And for anybody that doesn't know, the macrobiotic diet which is basically a whole foods diet.
Absolutely.
And you're eating lots of, it's basically a vegetarian diet.
It's a
Were you eating any
vegetarian-
animal products at that time?
No, I
Or so
hadn't
it was basically vegan
Yeah,
macrobiotic.
It was vegan macrobiotic,
Yeah.
no dairy products,
Yeah.
no sugar, low in the fruit
Okay.
at that time.
Mhm.
And in fact, the first thing that Michio Kushi, who is the man who brought macrobiotics to this country.
Did you read his book, Macrobiotics?
I
Was that
actually
his
got
book?
to, I forget. I actually got to speak with him on the phone, and he personally told me that for 10 days that I was to eat just brown rice
Mhm.
and to chew every bite of that brown rice 50 to 100 times.
Mhm.
So basically I was making, it was a fast of brown rice.
Yeah.
And I did that for 10 days.
You can live on brown rice for a long,
It even
long
has
time.
vitamin C from what I understand.
Look, there are. I mean, you look at Asia, you look at China and Japan. I mean,
Right.
there are populations of people
That just eat
brown
rice.
rice is 80-90% of their diet.
Right.
So yeah,
I did fine.
It's 40 years, people. Did you catch that in the beginning? 40 years later, she's sitting here telling her story to you. Ovarian cancer.
None of it, cervical.
I'm sorry, cervical cancer. And did not do surgery, didn't do chemo, didn't do radiation, but changed her diet, changed her life. Was there any emotional work that you did?
Forgiveness and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was ongoing. In fact,
I mean, were there
I
things in your
lived-
life where you felt like you had stress and negative emotions and things you had to let go of?
yeah, I had to let go. I had to let go of everything. I even let go of the human body. I just basically said, okay, God, if you want me here, then just show me what I need to do, and I'll hang around.
Talk about your travels
So-
during that time.
Okay, so then I decided, all right, so there was the acupuncture, the macrobiotics, and I did a little exercise, and a month later I went back to another doctor to get another test to see if there was any change. So it had gone from a number 5 to a number 3. And I thought, I am home free. This is
You're
working.
like, I'm doing it. Yeah.
And then I decided to quit my job, which was a very stressful job, actually, working with the mentally ill in a halfway facility with a lot of cigarette smoke and people on Thorazine around me. I figured it is time to let this go.
That's right. Listen, your job may be killing you.
Yes.
It may be killing
Yes.
you. And if it is, if you have a high stress job and you want to live and you want to heal cancer, it's imperative that you consider leaving your job, finding something low stress.
And I knew that if I left the job, I didn't really have that much money in my savings. I'm sure I didn't even have a bank account at that point. I was basically going to have to leave the country. So I had a friend, and he and I took off for Caracas, Venezuela, because my meditation teacher was giving a talk there, and I thought, well, that would be a good head start to hear my teacher speak, get really inspired about meditation, and then my friend who was visiting his mother in Venezuela, he stayed put for a little while, and then I went off with a girlfriend into the jungle of Venezuela called Guatopo. And we literally went into the jungle with some brown rice, and when we got there were guava trees, and I don't remember what else we had. I didn't have any vegetables. There was no refrigeration. I just had a backpack, and we had tents, and we stayed there for a week, and we had water. It was a place, it was like an abandoned coffee plantation that the lovely forest ranger drove us there in his Jeep. And one night in the middle of the night, we heard El Tigre. And fortunately, there was a little shed nearby. And you never saw 2 women run their little tushies into that shed after we had gotten awakened by a sound and looked at each other, and we had been forewarned. So stuff like that.
What I love about that is that, I mean, you just really started living. I mean, not that you
I
weren't
never
living before.
stopped.
Yeah, with some people, they just aren't even hardly
Oh,
living.
no, I was not going to,
But you really just kept doing what
I
you were
am
doing.
Jill the fun girl, and there's no way I'm going to let anyone bum me out.
Yeah. That's good.
And
That's good.
I knew my mind could get a hold of that thing and get all freaked out, but I refused because I knew that would have been the worst thing that that would have gotten in the way of the healing process.
That's another powerful lesson too, is not only letting go, but really learning how to have fun and live life and enjoy your life. Because so many people out there are so bogged down with stress and worry and anxiety and responsibilities. Not that you can just throw all your cares to the wind, but you really need to change everything about your life. And people watching this, the things. It's just obvious. People know what they need to change, and hopefully this will encourage them to do it. And no matter how much time you have left on earth, you need to enjoy it.
Absolutely. So from there, we ended up in Peru. And we went hiking in Peru, and I carried on me, we stopped in a health food store in Lima to get more brown rice, to get some seaweed, because the macrobiotics, they use a lot of seaweed, which is great.
You need that iodine.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And in the regular markets where we would go, the outdoor markets, we always could find sesame seeds, and we could find beautiful vegetables. And in those days, 1975, in Peru and Cusco and Machu Picchu, everything was organic.
Of course.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I asked the proprietor of the little pension where we stayed, and I think I only paid like $2 a night in those days. So
Wow.
where else could I have, lived like that in the United States? This way I knew I could take my time, I could rest, I can appreciate this incredible planet, I could hike these magnificent mountains, I could breathe, I could go to hot springs, my favorite thing in the whole world.
I'm really getting very jealous just sitting here listening to you.
So that was part of my
talk.
healing protocol.
I love it. I love it.
That was it. That was the healing protocol. And that lasted in total from Venezuela to Peru 4.5 months.
Yeah. And you had told me earlier that even during that time, you actually kind of forgot you even had cancer.
Well, I didn't feel bad because I didn't let anybody mess with me.
Yeah. You just put it out of your mind and move on and change your life and do that thing. That is so great.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Jill,
You're
for
welcome.
sharing your story.
You're welcome. So anyway, let me tell you, because we ran out of money, so then I decided, okay, I guess it's time to go back to the States. So I went back home and found my orange Volkswagen with dual pipes.
Yeah, Beetle.
Beetle in my friend's yard, and it still worked. And I figured, okay, now I've got to go get a job and all that stuff. And I went back to the doctor, and guess what? It was gone.
Long gone.
The cancer was gone.
And what's important too is that you maintained that lifestyle, right?
Well, it's 40 years. 2 years later,
Yeah.
I gave birth to my son, who has, in the last 4 years, has made me a grandmother of 2 little girls.
That is, congratulations.
And that never
is
would have
wonderful.
happened. That is a joy of joys, and it never would have happened unless I listened to my intuition that told me that I could heal this, that I had the power inside of me, and no one was going to take that away.
Amazing. Well, where can people find you?
Okay, so if you're interested in knowing my story and interested in the work I'm doing now for the last 15 years, well, 30 years I've been a massage therapist, a body worker, and I'm also a musician, singer-songwriter. Used to be Annie Sunbeam, the Cosmic Cowgirl, did a lot of children's parties. So, I mean, I've been having a lot of really good time. In the last 15 years, I've been doing juice fasting retreats 1 block from the ocean in Delray Beach, Florida. www.circle-of-life.net.
Okay. Circleoflife.net, circle-of-life.net.
Right, and if
Good.
that's confusing...
No, they'll get it, and I'll put a link in the video, and
Okay.
I'll put a link below the video.
Okay.
And hey, listen, thanks for watching this, and please put your comments. I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say, and if you have any questions, put them, and we'll try to get them answered.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. This has been a wonderful conference, the Annie Appleseed Project,
Absolutely.
here in West Palm Beach, and I'm so glad that I met you and that we got to do this wonderful little clip.
Me too.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
See you on the next one.
Bye.